Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today to this incredible milestone in our clinical history here. I'd like to invite Deacon Rich Becker to come up and offer a blessing.
Let us pray. Lord our God, in your wisdom and love, you surround us with the mysteries of the universe. In times long past, you sent us your prophets to teach your laws and to bear witness to your undying love. You sent us your Son to teach by word and example that true wisdom comes from you alone. As we gather together to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the Stroke and Brain Aneurysm Center of Long Island at Good Samaritan Hospital, we offer you praise and thanksgiving for the gift of human intellect, the blessing of modern technologies that give those who strive for the highest levels of excellence in medical care the tools they need to make that dream a reality. Grant us, we pray, your continued blessing in the years ahead, that we may add exponentially to the over 7,000 patients who have benefited from this service. Bless the members of this special team, their families, and all those under their care, that through the practice of good medicine they may continue to grow in wisdom and faith. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
So good morning, everyone. Again, thank you for coming. I'd like to recognize some of our elected officials that have come here today to help us celebrate. Supervisor Angie Carpenter from the Town of Islip. Legislator Steve Flatteran. Legislator, Kevin McCaffrey from Suffolk County. Legislator Sammy Gonzalez. Mike McElwee from Phil Boyle's office. And the fire rescue, the FRES commissioner, I'm sorry, Patrick Beckley. Thank you. Thank you all very much for coming today to help us celebrate this. And quite frankly, this incredible clinical program is more of a community program, quite frankly. We're happy to recognize our 5th year anniversary and all the incredible innovation that's gone in to making this program work in a mere 5 years. As you heard earlier from Deacon Rich's prayer, we've treated over 7,000 patients. So from the pre-hospital care that our clinical leaders help support, to what happens when patients come in through our emergency department, their assessment, to what happens when patients come in through our laboratory, and then when they go to our intensive care units and the step-down units. This is a team effort that includes not only those departments that I mentioned, it includes our performance improvement department, who helps us track our data to make sure that we're hitting all the milestones that we need to and we continue to improve, as well as our pastoral care department as well. So this program really has taken a village and encompasses the entire hospital. We have such an incredible, dedicated team, and we're just happy to help grow and support this. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our Chair of Neurointerventional Services and the Director of our Stroke and Brain Aneurysm Center, Dr. Kimon Bekelis.
Thank you, Ruth. Thanks, everybody, for coming. It feels like yesterday that we were doing this at the 1-year mark, I guess. It's been a great pleasure to be leading this program, and certainly what Ruth said is absolutely true. It takes a village. I've been at the forefront of this initiative, but I've really been a small part of this growth. The majority of the work has been done not by me, but by people here in this room and outside of this room, who day in and day out have made sure that our patients have received the best care possible anywhere in the world. Excuse me. Jason? Oh. Can you pick it up? Unfortunately, patient care never stops, even when we're celebrating. So, it's we were talking with Angie earlier, and we didn't realize where time went, and we worked a lot in the last 5 years, and like you said, 7,000 patients have come through our doors. it's obviously humbling to see how well the community has received this program, and certainly how well our patients have done. And when we started, we had a vision, and the institution had a vision, and that vision and the leadership of our executive team is really what fueled this development in its initial stage. And a lot of these folks are here today. Dr. Teplitz was the chief medical officer back then, and he's still here today. And a lot of the credit goes to that team. Ruth started very early on in that process to lead the hospital, and has done tremendous work to support this program, but also the future face of growth for Good Samaritan Hospital. You see a lot of the pictures around for the new pavilion. I'm sure a lot of you had a great time trying to find parking today. Thank you for that, Ruth. And John McMurray. Yes, I knew you'd say something. So thank you for everything you've done. John came to us obviously from the military, and has made sure that our program has functioned. He was here since the beginning of the program also, and made sure that everything runs smoothly from an operations perspective. And then a lot of other people have been, from the administration's perspective, have been here and very close to the development of this program. The big component of what we do is quality and data collection. So being a comprehensive stroke center means that we make sure that every patient gets the best care every single time when it comes to stroke, and that you have the mechanisms to identify any issues, any problems and processes, and then correct them as you move into the next patient. And that happens in real time. And it takes a phenomenal team on the quality side, and that's Karen Antaki, our stroke coordinator, who unfortunately, due to family issues, couldn't be here today. But she's certainly a big part of this success, and I owe her obviously a lot for being here for the program. And then Rich Appy, who is kind of the data quality person, and Vinny Angelora, the VP of quality, who, thank you, Vinny, who has gone with us through how many surveys now? 2, and we're about to do our 3rd survey for recredentialing as a comprehensive stroke center. And he has a phenomenal team behind him, in addition to the people I mentioned. And I'd be here talking for about 3 hours if I were to mention every single person, and I'm sorry if I'm not recognizing you today, but I'm very thankful for everything you've done. And then it comes down to the individual units, right? So we opened, when we started, the first neuro intensive care unit and neuro step-down unit in the South Shore of Long Island, actually in Suffolk County at the time. We were the first neuro ICU, which was not an easy undertaking. And it was a multi-leveled approach. We had great clinical leadership. Dr. Ahmad, who's here today, all the way in the back, hiding. So he directed the ICU together with me, and we were able to create processes together with nursing leadership to take care of these patients after they've received life-saving procedures. And then the nurses in the neuro ICU, when we started, I remember 65 new employees were hired by the institution, which is not easy. We had to do a tremendous recruitment effort to get all these people here, and the biggest component of what we hired was nurses. And we found some phenomenal nurses, and a lot of them are my friends today, and they've started as nurses in the neuro ICU, and they transitioned and they became nurse practitioners, and some of them stayed with us, some of them transitioned into new roles, and we had new nurses to come. But this is a sign of a very healthy, very growing, very expanding and growing program, that you're able to bring people in, nurture them, teach them, make them advance their careers, and then move to the next step of their careers. And so we've really not only taken care of patients, but made sure that education and kind of the medical establishment also produced people that are able to then go somewhere else and offer these services. And then we grew in other services such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech. Obviously, these are crucial when it comes to stroke. And rehab services are very big in Catholic Health. Obviously, we have a lot of sister facilities that offer rehabilitation services, but locally, these rehabilitation services also grew dramatically, and we were extremely proud to see that growth. A big component again of what we did was the emergency room. A lot of the strokes, a lot of the brain aneurysm ruptures would come through the emergency room, and the emergency room is a challenge. You guys know, obviously, Good Sam is an extremely busy emergency room, and because of that, we often are frustrated about the throughput in the emergency room, and I think part of that, or the majority of that problem, is the physical plant, and leadership recognized that early, locally and at the system level. And the decision was made to renovate the emergency room, I guess, for lack of a better term, and spend $500 million to build a new building right in the front of the hospital. And that building will have a new emergency room with private bays, operating rooms above that area, and then private patient rooms above that. And it's a phenomenal concept, and also it'll really change the footprint of the hospital and how we interact with the South Shore. And when it comes to stroke, our area of interest, it will really change things for stroke dramatically. We have 3 CAT scan machines now in the new building, or we will, and one of them will be dedicated to stroke. So patients that come in with a stroke or suspected stroke would be going into that machine, and they'll be able to get most of the interventions in the scanner. So you don't have the in and out time is brain, like we like to say, and so the quicker these patients get treatment, the better. They'll be able to go in, get a CAT scan, make sure they're not bleeding in the brain so that they can get clot-busting medicine, the TPA, and then a decision is made for mechanical thrombectomy, which is what we do on the back end, and then bring them up. One floor up in our second biplane room at the time to offer care there. And yes, we do need a second biplane, and that's our expansion that's coming. We've started we started and we were very busy from the very, very beginning, but now we are really busy. And so I started by myself doing endovascular procedures, and it took a couple of years until I was able to recruit a good friend, Dr. Misios, to come here and help me take call. And after that, most recently in the last year, Dr. Maris Foy, who's somewhere in the audience, right there, joined me. Both very well-known, very well-recognized clinical leaders nationally. They decided to join us, and came from different parts of the country, Boston, Ohio, and they came here to really grow this program. And now we're doing over 1,000 endovascular procedures a year. The room is constantly busy. We're frequently done. I think the best time we're done these days is 6 p.m. I think people are happy when we're done at 6, and then there's often the 9 p.m. days. And so we're welcoming the new biplane room, and so the growth has been tremendous, and a lot of the day in, day out work is done by my team in the Angio Suite, and these are folks that, again, some of them came here from other areas of the country. Jason, all the way in the back, he came with me from Philadelphia when we started this program. So we came here with a vision, and look at what it is today. Then, in addition to Jason, I have 2 other technologists now, Matt and Joe. They are helping us. They're dedicated to our team. They don't do cardiac or any other procedures. And then we have advanced practice providers. Elizabeth and Amanda have been with me for a long time now. Really, they're making me look good. They do most of the work, and I just put my face in things, and that works great. And then, most recently, Danny joined the team, and we have a phenomenal group of nurses that work downstairs with me, and a lot of them are here today. I think Sharon, Michelle, and Nicole are here. Yes, right there, all the way in the back. And we have another Michelle and Rob. They are a phenomenal group of people. Again, I'm sure I definitely didn't recognize everybody that contributed to this program, but it is my intention to do so, and certainly it's a program that transcends departments across the hospital. It's not just the neurointerventional suite, it's not just the neuro ICU or the emergency room. Stroke is a disease that can happen anywhere in the hospital. Patients can go anywhere. And so you need to educate and train pretty much everybody. When we were going through the first Joint Commission certification, one of the requirements is that everybody who touches a stroke patient needs several hours of stroke education. And we were trying to find a way to optimize how many people we're going to train, because it's a big hospital. Initially we were thinking, well, maybe we train just this unit, because that's where most stroke patients go. And then we realized they go everywhere. So we educated everybody. But that was not easy. And, again, tremendous amount of work from Karen and Taki and the team. And, they really take the majority of the credit for the success of this program. So, what the future holds is more growth for this program. There's definitely more and more disease that's being treated with what we do. We treat mainly strokes, brain aneurysms, and other kind of cerebrovascular pathology. Arteriovenous malformations, moyamoya disease, other rare pathologies, carotid disease. But there's more and more down the line, and now we see that intracranial atherosclerosis or plaque buildup in the brain can contribute to stroke and is treatable endovascularly, and there's more clinical trials that are being done right now, so hopefully those will be in favor of life-saving interventions for these patients, and we'll be able to expand even further. But I think certainly kind of engaging with the community and having the support of Emergent Medical Services, who has been phenomenal in the last 5 years. Really, they've embraced the program, and we keep an open dialogue with them, and we try to give them feedback. It's very busy, but I think Karen is doing a good job returning to them with cases and telling them, when they do a good job, and they've backed the program substantially. Right now we are the first and only comprehensive stroke center in the South Shore of Long Island. A lot of firsts happened here. A lot of new devices were implanted here. A lot of new stents for brain aneurysms or for stroke were used here for the first time. And, we are very proud of that. And I think if me or my family were to have a cerebrovascular problem, we would be right here, and I would have any of my partners treat me. And I'm very thankful for that. And I'm very thankful for you guys being here. Do you want me to introduce Maria?
Yes, that'd be lovely.
Oh, super. And with that, I want to, a lot of what we do is our patients, right? The reason we do what we do is our patients. So we wanted this 5-year mark to be recognized, but also to recognize our patients, and in the face of one of our most recent patients. We have here Maria Rizzuto. I met her several months now, and maybe a year ago almost, maybe 8 months, 9 months, something like that. She came to my office, and she had an unruptured brain aneurysm, and she'll tell you the story of kind of how we ended up treating the aneurysm, which she doesn't have anymore.
Yay.
And, she, in her face, I want to recognize all our patients, and, kind of you'll see the struggles that folks with cerebrovascular disease go through. And, to have the ability to offer care at the highest level possible to these people is really what gets us up in the middle of the night. Maria, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start off by saying, to God be all the glory. I thank Him for His grace to be able to be standing here speaking to all of you. Through God, all things are possible. I appreciate the invitation to be here to share my story with all of you. In 2016, while living just around the corner here in West Islip, with my 3-year-old little boy and my 10-year-old daughter and my husband, I felt unwell. I had headaches and just some head disturbances in my heart. I knew something was wrong. Growing up in Astoria, a few minutes from the city, I believed that New York City had the best doctors, right? So I set out to advocate for myself to find out what was going on. I remember the day I was sitting in a prominent New York City neurologist's office when she told me, "We found an aneurysm in your head." The room started spinning. I felt lightheaded. A million questions started going through my head. A lot of people hear, "Oh, he collapsed in the bathroom and died." They found her dead in her kitchen. They found that she had a ruptured aneurysm. What is an aneurysm, I asked her, and how do I fix it? She referred me to a neurosurgeon, sent me on my way, and told me not to worry. I was devastated. I thought my life was ending. I don't even remember how I got home that day. Over the next month, I Googled, I read clinical studies, I sought out the best and most renowned neurosurgeons in Manhattan. I was willing to travel to Taiwan if I had to. Little did I know, my angel was literally a few streets away from my home. I went to see 6 different specialists, and they all gave me conflicting information. Inside the head, outside the head, inside the head, outside the head. Surgery, no surgery. My head was spinning. Finally, the 7th opinion from a world-renowned neurosurgeon, my husband and I decided to just go with whatever he suggested. He told me we would watch it the first year and then scans every 2 years. I remember saying to him, "Doctor, please, just open up my head and fix it." So year after year, I went for my scan, all along still having symptoms and headaches, and he kept telling me not to worry. "You're fine, see you in 2 years," and would laugh at me when I would come back every single year for a scan. For 5 years, my anxiety levels were through the roof, especially while traveling. I remember my husband and I were taking a trip to Amsterdam, and I was Googling the closest hospital to our hotel, just in case. Same thing when I went to London and Paris and the Caribbean. I lived in fear as to when this ticking time bomb was going to go off. My doctor decided to retire right after COVID, and by the grace of God, I was able to access my latest scan through a patient portal. I was stunned to find out that the aneurysm was indeed inside my head, and it had doubled in size. Needless to say, I panicked. Now living in Seacliff in Nassau County, I reached out to a few doctors that I'm friends with, and they referred me to Dr. Beckless. I remember my friend, Dr. Pam Gallagher, who has an office here in West Islip, said to me, "Maria, don't be so impressed by New York City institutions. Be impressed by the doctor. Go see him." I made an appointment, and my husband and I went to see Dr. Beckless. In my mind, I was thinking, here we go again. Let me not be remiss to say that I was thrilled that he was a fellow Greek. I remember him walking into the room with the calmest demeanor, explaining everything to me in great detail. I remember telling him that I am an avid and competitive tennis player, and I needed to be back on the court ASAP. Dr. Beckless performed an angiogram and confirmed that it was indeed in my head, and asked me how I wanted to proceed. I remember looking at him and saying, "Are you kidding me? Can we fix it tomorrow?" He laughed. I remember the night before my stent surgery, I was petrified. Was the surgery going to be a success? Was I going to see my kids again? I remember going to church and sitting with my priest for comfort. Sorry. He pulled off his cross and handed it to me and said, "Take this with you tomorrow. It's blessed." The morning of my surgery, I was dropped off by my husband. I told him that he wasn't allowed to get married again if something happened to me, because I would haunt him. I was received from the wonderful nurses that got me ready to go into surgery. I cannot begin to express how comfortable I was, how loving and caring all the nurses were, how clean the facility was. The morning prayer over the loudspeaker made me feel at peace. I asked one of the nurses if I could wear my cross, and they assured me that they didn't see a problem as long as Dr. Beckless had approved. What a departure from the norm. Dr. Beckless performed the procedure, placed a stent, and I remember waking up feeling amazing. I also remember asking him if I could go home the same day, which he said no. I went home the morning after feeling great. Let me say this again. I had a stent placed in my brain. It was an hour procedure, and I went home the next morning. How ironic is it that after years of endless hours commuting to New York City, that the solution to my problem would be right here in West Islip. At my 6-month follow-up angiogram, I woke up, and Dr. Beckless' first words to me were, "I hope you weren't attached to that aneurysm, because it's gone." So he's not only an amazing neurosurgeon, but he has jokes too. Thank you, Dr. Beckless. Thank you to the wonderful team you have, the nurses, Sharon, Amanda, Melissa. I'm sure there was so many more. That the nurses that also held down my artery for 2 hours after the stent so that I don't bleed out. The anesthesiologists that put me out a tad bit early because I told them I was super nervous. The recovery and the admitting nurses, everyone who assisted me in getting back my quality of life. Thank you, Good Samaritan Hospital. I can't thank you all enough for such a high level of care. And let me add, I was able to play some kick-ass tennis 10 days after my stent was placed. Esteemed guests, we have a major issue here. The huge elephant in the room. The numbers are staggering and frightful. 1 out of 50 people have unruptured aneurysms. 40% end up dying. A lot of people don't even know what an aneurysm is. The lack of awareness and screening is terrifying. 0 prevention screening. 0 national ads on awareness. Why must we be reactive when we can be proactive? Especially with these medical advancements, minimal invasive procedures, and such quick recovery. I have vowed to make it my mission to spread awareness. I know I'm a small fish in a big pond, but if I can save one life, my life would be meaningful. We must do better. We have to do better. What if the next person who dies from a ruptured aneurysm is your brother, your mother, your sister, or your child? We need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh boy, how do you follow that? I'd like at this point to invite Supervisor Angie Carpenter up to say a few words.
Well, that was really heart-wrenching, and thank you so much for being brave enough to share that, because I'm sure it's not easy reliving all of that. But how lucky you were to find Dr. Beckless, and how fortunate are we as a community that Good Samaritan Hospital was so forward-thinking in establishing this program. There was such an unmet need, and it just blows my mind when I think about, no pun intended, that something so needy and necessary as a Center for Stroke and Brain Aneurysm just did not exist here on the South Shore of Long Island. And how very, very fortunate are we in the town of Islip to have it here in Good Samaritan Hospital. Dr. Beckless is incredible. 5 years, I can't believe it, and he doesn't look a day older than the 12 he looked when I first met him. But just listening to him talk about the entire program, you can feel the passion, you can feel the brilliance, quite frankly. And for all of you who are part of this wonderful team here at Good Sam, not just in the stroke center, but in the hospital in general. As the supervisor of the town, I can't thank you enough, because whenever we have a need, whenever we reach out, Good Sam is there. And the fact that you have made this commitment to build this patient pavilion is huge. And the fact that we were able to go through the process in the town with all of the permitting and everything that has to happen with some construction project, let alone 300,000 square feet, is really a testament to everyone who was a part of the community outreach and to the community that embraced it. There are not many communities who would have willingly embraced the concept of a construction project that size and the inconvenience that it is causing. But I think everyone realizes at the end of the day, what we're going to have here is state-of-the-art and a way to serve people when they're most in need and most vulnerable. So I have a citation or a certificate here to commemorate this 5 years, and I'm sure the next 5 will go as quickly, and hopefully I'll be here to help celebrate. And I'm so grateful that you did this 5-year celebration, because it gives us an opportunity to get the word out to the community. And I would think the only thing that I would ever fault Good Samaritan and Good Health and Catholic Health for is that you don't toot your horn enough, because so many good things are happening here at Good Samaritan Hospital. So keep doing what you're doing, and we'll help get that message out.
Thank you, Supervisor Carpenter. That was wonderful. And I can't say this, but our gratitude for your support and for the support of the Town of Islip during this incredible construction project has just been so incredible. So thank you. With that, I'd like to ask Mike McElwee from Phil Boyle's office to come up.
Thank you for inviting us today. I'm here for Senator Phil Boyle. He sends his regrets that he couldn't be here and asked me to bring this certificate of congratulations down for you. Just on a personal note too, I live in this town. I'm in walking distance. 17 years ago yesterday, my youngest son was born here, and it's just amazing to see the level of health care in this town, in this community, right down the block. I know we had a mom pass away with an aneurysm 12, 13 years ago that, you know, things could have changed now. So I think it's a wonderful thing that this program is here, and just want to wish you congratulations.
All right, that concludes our program. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming and helping us celebrate this incredible clinical milestone. And I'd like to direct your attention to the cake and also to food. So have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.